Hey guys, welcome to the Lean to the Left podcast and our special monthly feature, the Dixie Dems. With me are Arthur Hill, Vice Chair of the Brunswick County, North Carolina Democratic Party, and Robert Thompson, a no holds barred podcaster from Georgia. I live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and besides hosting this podcast, I run the Lean to the Left blog. And also, I've published an updated version of my book. It's called Hijack Nation, Donald Trump's Attack on America's Greatness, and it's now available at Amazon and Barnes& and Noble. Today on the Dixie Dems, we're delighted to have Birmingham, Alabama Mayor Randall Woodfin as our guest. Mayor Woodfin, at age 36, made history as the youngest mayor of Birmingham, Alabama, in more than a century. Before that, he worked at City Hall for the mayor and the city council and for the Jefferson County Committee on Economic Opportunity. After obtaining his law degree from Cumberland School of Law at Samford University, he became assistant district attorney for the city of Birmingham. He ran for mayor in 2016 and won an upset victory in a runoff in 2017. Earning a keynote speaker at the Democratic Convention in 2020, Woodfin is now seeking his third term. In his just published memoir, Son of Birmingham, Woodfin highlights the daily joys and struggles of everyday people in Birmingham, revealing what spurred him to turn his education and experience to the city of his youth. It's a moving story of a young leader's perseverance in a city still battling racism and gun violence, which Woodfin experienced firsthand. So, Mayor Woodfin, thanks so much for joining us on the Dixie Dems. We really do appreciate it.
Hey, gentlemen, it's really great to be with you all. Looking forward to our time.
Thank you very much. It's going to be fun, I'm sure. Now, what are your thoughts about what's going on in this country today with the hostile takeover by Donald Trump?
I'm concerned. I'm worried. And I'm going to tell you why I'm concerned. And let me tell you more importantly who I'm worried about. I'm actually worried about everyday Americans. I'm talking about poor, poor, working class Americans who I think got duped, who I think were tricked into believing that things were going to get better or be better for them, that the economy would be better, that their pockets would be better, that their frustrations at the grocery store, at the gas station, and just their everyday means of life would be better. And it's not. It's gotten worse in literally just almost 100 days. And that's not a good sign for what's to come with a lot more time left in this term related to decisions being made not in the interest of the everyday working people of this country.
Yeah, if you take a look at some of those things that Trump's doing, he's attacking Medicaid. They're doing all this stuff with Social Security while they haven't cut benefits. They're going to make it a lot harder for people to take advantage of their benefits and it's just crazy. Robert?
I wanted to ask what you're hearing as mayor. Republicans are very convenient when crap hits the fan that, oh, if they happen to work at the state level, that's a federal thing. Go talk to the federal government. No, you're the Republican Party. You are the ones right now that are destroying America.
Yeah,
Like my
so
mother, like my father. My mother
right.
is on Social Security. My father is on SSI. So
I
if
think
that stops, is it up to me? Is it up to GoFundMe to
right.
fund them?
So the first thing you do is create a problem when there's not a problem. Here's a
Exactly.
good example. Here's a good example of that. There's a system online, there's a system by phone for seniors to be able to use. Now you're saying that they have to do this authentication where many of them are not as literate as you and I are based just on generations, if that makes sense. Not to downplay or take anything away from our seniors, but just simply how technology advances, they may use technology different from us. That being the case, then when they complain, when they yell, when they get mad or get frustrated and say this doesn't work, you then use that as an excuse to try to grab the piggy bank. All of this is smoke and mirrors for a money grab. We're talking about literally the most transactional situation we probably will ever see at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And let's be very clear, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, and all these other things that our everyday people and seniors depend on, they want to privatize and or take it away from people. None of this is to help everyday people. And like your parents, my parents, and other people's parents who depend on these things, they should be very concerned.
Yep. So for example, next week I had a companion pass. I wanted to take dad on a trip next week. And guess what I did instead? I sent him money because he needed the money more than to take him
Right.
on a trip. That's the reality of 2025. This is my father on SSI and the
Right. So
reality of what we're dealing with because I'm glad I was able to do that. I'm glad I had the means to do that. There are a lot of people out there, they didn't have that option.
no,
So did they
and look,
declare bankruptcy? Do they do GoFundMe? Because the Republicans sure as hell are not helping them. Well, what is this whole I'm religious? And no,
no,
what churches out there are helping these people? None of them.
right. No, man, look, this is a, I'm trying to find the words to explain what has happened in such a very short window, but they are attacking programs and things where nothing is wrong, creating creating a boogeyman to only do an intentional grab. That's all this is about. This has nothing to do with making systems better, making programs better, helping people. This is a money grab, period. Extremely, this is the purest form of transactional government we can get. And I do not think it is beneficial to the everyday Americans, your parents, my parents, poor people, working class people. It will hurt them. It's already hurting them. The whole idea was I'm going to vote for 45 because he's going to make sure eggs are cheaper. And what happens as soon as he got in office?
Yeah.
They are
Eggs go
not.
up every week. Eggs
Gas
go
is
up
still
every
not
week.
$1 a gallon either.
Yeah.
No,
And it's not going to
it's
be either.
Mayor,
no, it's not.
I'd like
Sorry.
to, you said earlier how you wanted to support working people, and a lot of people have said that, but you actually are walking the walk. I noticed when you announced for your third term, it was attributed to you that in the city of Birmingham, you've created 8,000 jobs in the time since you became mayor. And I'd like to hear how you did it because it's a number that magnificent deserves to be broadcast around the country. And it seems to me that every governing official ought to be trying to do the same thing that you've been able to accomplish. And I'm amazed at how you did it. And I'd like to get some insight on that.
The insight is very simple, my friend. One is it's co-credit. I don't take any credit alone. Two, I listen more than I talk. And in listening, I'm listening to our small business owners. I'm listening to entrepreneurs and risk takers. I'm listening to the business community in Birmingham. What are their needs? How can the city of Birmingham elevate, promote, as well as help you be successful? Because this is a mutual relationship. It's a mutual beneficial relationship. That being the case, workforce development has been front and center for us over and over, whether it's people returning out of prison, whether it's young people finishing high school, or whether it's young people who are simply unemployed but not even trying to apply for a job. That is that missing middle people don't talk about enough. And so through promotion, through marketing, through over communication, through planning, working with business, working with small business owners, working with the community to let people know opportunity exists, one, and two, smart incentives where it's not only beneficial to the corporation or the small business, but beneficial to the city as well, where it's all about job creation. And for example, there have been two businesses that were formed in Birmingham that sought expansion nationwide, but wanted to keep their headquarters remaining in Birmingham. They came to the city and says, "What can you do for us?" Our response to them, "What can we do for each other?" Part of that is something I call the Tip Tap Top program, where the whole notion is these incentives will be based on how many jobs you can create. And then in return, we can find a way to get you a deal that works for your business as well. But in return, City of Birmingham is growing its workforce base. And so it's smart incentives like that that has allowed us to do more job creation.
Where I live in southeastern North Carolina, pretty red country. And we don't have the luxury of having elected officers that are Democrats in Brunswick County. So I'm wondering, what would you suggest that folks in our situation here could do to empower young people to develop opportunities in the workplace that when we're not in a position to be able to pull it off, but we can certainly advocate for it, which we do. But maybe we're missing something. Maybe you have some help you could give us there.
I would say one, when it comes to young people and opportunity, particularly post high school, you got to get beyond, people should get beyond partisan politics. We should be looking at our young people as a fresh slate of what opportunities do we want to create for them. The ideal world, that is your future workforce. You either want them to stay, which that means you have to provide opportunity, or you want them to stay and be gainfully employed, not unemployed if they stay in the city or community, or expect for them to leave and go other places where opportunity exists. If you look at it from that perspective, then you're only focused on solutions and ideas to create opportunity. The first thing I would say is the word track has a negative connotation when it comes to our high school students and our high school graduates, but we need to acknowledge that it is okay to share with them, encourage them, what is it that you want to do after high school? Is it straight into the military? Is it straight into the workforce? Is it straight into going to a 2-year college or a 4-year institution? Or is it risk taking and becoming an entrepreneur at 18 and 19? Whatever the case may be, the high school leadership, the elected or non-elected leadership, parents, the whatever business community exists there, everyone has to come to the table and says, this is what we are collectively willing to do for our graduates. That should be the most non-partisan thing, because that should only be rooted in solutions and opportunity for making sure these young people, if they're going to go off somewhere, put them in a position to come back home to make home better. If they're going to stay, put them in a position to be gainfully employed so they can be productive at home. What I just said is not rocket science. That takes will, that takes collaboration, and that takes grown people looking at only the win should be for those young people, not for adults. That's my thoughts.
So you're really saying stop talking politics with these young people and start talking about things that really make a difference for them, correct?
I don't care if it's urban or rural. I think we have to acknowledge the next and youngest generation are engaging their future different from us. We got to put the opportunities in front of them and allow them to choose which one. It just can't be a fifth option, which is nothing, or sitting on the couch, or unemployment. Given the 4 options, they're very direct. It's going to the military, it's going to a 4-year college, it's going straight to the workforce, or it's becoming an entrepreneur. But one of those should be chosen. And as adults, we should be making sure whether your high school system has 100 graduates, 10,000 graduates, or in our case, 1,100 graduates, it's all manageable enough to put it in front of young people to make a choice so that they can be productive.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about the journey that took you from bagging groceries at a supermarket, which I got to tell you, I did that too when I was younger.
Bill
And
Clinton did that as well.
yeah, and to becoming Birmingham's youngest mayor.
My journey is it's one of humble beginnings. I'm born and raised in Birmingham. I grew up in a house that were never less than 8 people. Sometimes it was more. My mother taught, my mother and my grandmother taught me the importance of not just work ethic and discipline, but helping people. That intersection led me to not just bagging groceries, but this whole notion of what customer service really meant.
Yeah.
Taking care of people, helping people, assisting people, going above the duty of what the job required, just putting groceries in the bag to understanding your customers' needs, wants, and desires, which led me to Morehouse College, which is another amazing intersection of just academic rigor and leadership, community service. Putting that all and mixed together, coming home wanted to serve and make a difference. I didn't forget that first job at 15 bagging groceries of the importance of 200,000 residents in Birmingham. If I treat them the same as I treated the customers who walked in that grocery store, then it's all about taking care of them, listening to them, serving their needs, helping them. Same notion.
Okay. All right. So what inspired you to run for office? Why did you decide you wanted to be mayor of Birmingham?
One, I was crazy enough to believe I can make a difference.
All right.
I think the other really is my experience at Morehouse. Morehouse is a small institution on a red clay hill in Atlanta, Georgia. And it has some prominent alums. You may know one of them by the name of Martin Luther King Jr. But Mother Morehouse teaches all of us the exact same thing. One is go back home and make a difference. Two, nothing's going to be given to you. You have to work hard at it. But three, help people, help community, lead, be a leader, not a follower. And I think that inspired me as a political science major. I worked on Capitol Hill for my congressman after my freshman year at Morehouse. I worked in the district after my sophomore year. While in law school, I worked for the city attorney's office. I worked for the city council. I worked for the mayor's office. And all of this, probably over a 14, 15-year period, taught me that you can make a lot of impact at the local level. And that's why I chose to run for mayor.
What'd you do on Capitol Hill?
Oh, nothing but an intern. I did everything all other interns do. You respond to constituent mail.
I feel like the Bob and Arthur know me. No, I feel like they would kick me out of Capitol Hill.
You know what? I worked for a couple congressmen back in the day, and one was Jim Florio, who was a Democratic member from New Jersey and later became governor of New Jersey. And Florio I used to go into his office and say, Jim, the work you've given our staff is just overloading us. We don't have enough people to do all this stuff. And his answer was, I have every confidence. And then he just turned his back. And then I said, we need more people. He said, well, then get interns. Because he's not going to pay them. He's not going to pay any more people. Get free labor in here, and that's it. And go away. Don't bother me. So, did you have any experience like that, Randall?
Hey, I had two different experiences. My internship on the Hill was short, and it was all centered around constituent mail. And there was a significant amount of constituent mail. That's what I remember
Right.
the root of the job being. You remember constituent mail.
Oh,
You
yeah.
had to be you had to be responsive. That was what it was. I rarely left the office but for lunch.
Yeah.
When I worked in the district, that was actually I appreciated working in the district more than Capitol Hill. Being out in the district, driving around the district, rural Alabama, urban Alabama, seeing the issues in person and watching the congressman work the room, work events, as well as work the local office, I had a higher appreciation for the actual job, more so than Capitol Hill.
Okay.
Yeah, just to share a little more, Randall, I was part of the Indivisible group in the first time that Trump was in the White House on training wheels. And this time I'm trying to be supportive and that they're getting all these folks that are interested again. But as I have time, I'm calling the Republican congressman here in Georgia and whoever will answer and just giving them hell. I've had one, I've been sending them to Bob.
He
And
records them. They're a riot.
yeah, just asking them the tough questions that they don't want to answer. And I had one guy hang up on me,
Poor
poor lady, and said,
staffers. The staffers don't have the authority to answer your questions anyway.
but it makes for good TV because it's just a hot mess.
Yeah,
And the Republicans have told them is just stop doing town halls. They're just embarrassing right now.
they're
The
running
thing,
scared.
the thing about it is you campaign on fear. In the first turn, you attempt to govern on fear. Well, this time you got this plan that has a negative impact, and now you can't take the blowback. Like, why did you sign up? Why did you sign up if you refuse to be responsive to the constituents you serve?
That's my
And
whole
look,
thing. You wanted to be in office so
yeah,
bad, do your job.
Yeah.
and I think the thing is, I think what we got to acknowledge is this: if you are a congressman or senator, you took an oath to the Constitution, not 47. Oath to the Constitution, not 47.
And I'll
This is
add on
not
to
some.
that, sorry
Yeah.
to break in, and also not to your donors.
So serve the people, because what you're doing is a violation of the oath you took. It is conduct unbecoming. It is beneath the office you serve, allowing these things to happen. Period.
I want to know what that shirt's all about that you got on there, pal.
So this shirt is rooted in two words: Birmingham Promise. 5 years ago, November 2019, inside City Hall, I created a program that said we were willing and ready, anything by any means necessary, to do what we needed to do to provide opportunity for our high school graduates. Prior to being mayor, I served on the Birmingham Board of Education, and that afforded me the opportunity for numerous years to stand on the stage and shake every high school graduate's hand who finished Birmingham City Schools. I would notice every now and then a bottleneck on that stage afforded me the opportunity to ask a young person, "Hey, what are you doing next?" And they would look at me and they would just make up something. And then they would walk off the stage, walk back to the audience with their classmates, turn their tassels and walk out of those doors, not necessarily with a plan with their future. So I decided to create the Birmingham Promise. Earlier, I was speaking to you all. I said every high school young person should choose between 2 or 4 year college, straight into the workforce, military, or becoming an entrepreneur. Well, the Birmingham Promise makes investments in two of those options. So now, 5 years later, a program exists where if you finish Birmingham City Schools, I don't care what your GPA is, your SAT score, your ACT score. If an institution of higher learning, 2 or 4 year college university accepts you, the Birmingham Promise pays for your tuition, no cost for you.
Was that privately funded, or did it come from city?
That part is privately funded.
Uh-huh.
But I also told you there's the work part. So this search says apprenticeships and internships. Well, the city of Birmingham has committed $10 million to support workplace learning in the form of internships and apprenticeships for young people. So again, they have a path into the workforce on this program as well. You don't have to go to 2 year, 4 year. We want you to, but if you don't want to, we're not forcing you to.
So you've got an alternative. You have a 4 year alternative, a 2 year alternative, and a right out of high school alternative.
That is correct.
Yeah.
This program is changing lives. In 5 years, this program has supported 1,600 graduates to attend 2 year and 4 year colleges to the tune of $11 million.
That's incredible.
And over 300 of these young people have been exposed to job placements in the form of internships, etc., building that rapport with that employer, keeping that relationship going to build that pipeline. This is life changing. This is game changing. This goes right at the heart of what I'm saying. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, rural American, or urban American. This is the type of program high school students need for opportunity for their future.
So for funding, you went out and got donations, contributions from.
100%. Yep. I did, but I did something even better. I didn't want this program to be sustained only because I am the mayor. And when I'm no longer the mayor, this program fizzles out. So I kicked it out of City Hall, created its own 501(c) status, created a board. The board hired an executive director. The executive director now has a full-time staff. I'm a member of the board now, so this program no longer sits in City Hall. And all the donations originally came from just Birmingham corporate community and small business Birmingham community. But in 2024, I got my first national donation from PNC Banks Foundation to the tune of $10 million.
Ooh, wow.
So I want you to think now, don't think about a high school senior now. Think about the high school senior who has a little brother or sister in the second grade, Birmingham City Schools. This program will benefit them as well.
So you went out of the city. You went nationwide to find money.
And I'm going to keep going nationwide to find money. Bloomberg Philanthropies has given. I'm going to keep finding money for this program. I want it sustained. I want it endowed. I want it in perpetuity. I want it to live way longer than when I'm no longer the mayor. My daughter is 7 months old. If she wants to be a part of this program, she should be. If a parent of an existing child has a little brother or sister that's unborn now, I want them to be able to participate in it.
That's just incredible, I think. Now, has this had a demonstrable effect on young people, on crime and things young people do to get into trouble and all that kind of stuff?
I would say yes and no. I would say, like any other urban core, Birmingham has had its fair share of violence, particularly gun violence.
Yeah.
2024 was a hard year for us. I don't shy away from facts and stats. It was the worst year we've had since I've been mayor.
Wow.
But I'm happy to say, ending this first quarter of 2025, comparison year to date, homicides are down 41%. We've also will have the highest incoming police academy class we've had in 30 years. And so we're mending the fence. But what I'm telling people is you can't arrest your way out of these problems. And so, yes, programs like the Birmingham Promise also provide opportunity. If we're asking young people to stop the violence, put the guns down, we got to put other career work options in their hand.
You had some experience with gun violence yourself, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, I've lost my brother and his son, my nephew, his namesake, both to gun violence.
Oh, man.
And I will tell you, gun violence is an American crisis, is an American issue, and is at an American crisis level. Please recall that the top health official of the country in 2024 declared gun violence a public health crisis. Birmingham declared a public health crisis in 2019.
Oh.
And when I tell people is, unfortunately, when you look at American violence at its height, or whether it is lynching or domestic terrorism in the form of bombings during the segregation era, or in today's time doing gun violence, Birmingham's unfortunately always an outlier in being higher than other cities in the state of Alabama.
Have you talked about what can be done to control access to guns and things like that? Or is that just too...
I think the first thing, man, I think you have to move away from gun regulation and talk about gun safety.
Uh-huh.
Gun safety is so important in the sense of what are we attempting to do to save lives? I live in the state of Alabama, and I think everyone knows, similar to South Carolina, North Carolina, whatever the federal government attempts to do in gun safety, southern states do the opposite of no regulation.
Yeah.
But I think we can also prove in southern states gun violence is higher here than other forms. And so we're not trying to take law-abiding citizens' guns away. What we're attempting to do is keep them out of criminals' hands. And I think we should be in a position to strike that balance without people having to just pick a side. Some of this is just plain old common sense, and you got to have common sense in this conversation.
But what you're doing with your program that you discussed with us indirectly is helping to reduce gun violence, is it not?
It is. I promise you it is.
Yeah.
It surely is.
It takes money and it takes work and commitment. Do you have bipartisan support for it or what?
Yeah, so I will tell you again, every mayor in the state of Alabama is nonpartisan. So when it comes to public safety, my approach is common sense and being on solution driven. Part of what led to the increase in gun violence in 2024 in Birmingham was these things called Glock conversion devices known as Glock switches. It's where you can convert a semi-automatic to an automatic weapon. And we had two mass shootings in 2024 that led to multiple deaths. And these devices were used. Over 100 bullets were used on the scenes of these two crimes. I spoke with the Republicans who have a supermajority, and last week, because of our efforts, the governor signed a bill banning clocks in the state of Alabama. Now, that's a Herculean task. I do want to pause and thank the governor. I want to thank the legislators in the Senate and the House of Representatives side because it couldn't have been done without them. But we approach this from a safety standpoint, not necessarily regulating guns, but simple question. Is this the type of tool needed on domestic streets? Because its use only causes carnage and mass casualties. And I think that was successful in getting through. And now we have a bill making those illegal in the state of Alabama. So yes, that took bipartisan support. That took a lens of find a solution and fix the issue.
I read about you that Bernie Sanders endorsed you in your first election to mayor, and then time went by and you worked for Hillary in 2020. Am I getting the year right? Yeah, 2016.
16.
Yeah, 16. But now you've said that the base of the Democratic Party is more moderate and you're moving in that direction. Do you credit that with the lessons that you've learned in having to deal with a legislature that's a supermajority GOP and businesses in Birmingham that might be more conservative than you are? Have you changed your view or have you been pretty?
I'm actually a very consistent person. I think if anybody follows me or follow what I say, what I promote, what I stand for, and the policies I champion, I'm really all about working people. Again, poor people, working poor and working class people are my base. My policies support how to help families, how to make sure that they can have opportunity to be gainfully employed, educate their kids, have access to health care. These are common sense things. I was proud that Bernie Sanders supported me for my race in 2017. Sure. And I was proud that Joe Biden supported my reelection in 2021. Sure. I have people want to peg me and put me in a box, and I don't allow that. I believe that I support policies that actually benefit everyday working people. And you're not going to have me out as some extreme one-sided leftist where things can't get done. At the root of who I am, a non-partisan, pragmatic elected official that believes in solving problems. That is who I am at my core. And so if your policies benefit the people I serve, I'm going to rock with you. It turns out, whether it was Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders, in several things they both champion, it benefits everyday working people in Birmingham.
Hey, Randall, I got a question for you. What's that hat about you got on there, pal?
Oh, that's easy. So the best title I have is dad. I'm a new dad. My daughter name is Love. Okay. She took her great grandmother Middle's name, Lee. So my daughter's name is Lovely Woodfin. This is without the A, but this stands for daddy. Okay. And I will tell you that more than being the mayor, more than being anything, fatherhood is the best. And I'm enjoying the journey for the last 7 months.
Oh, that's great. So you have one.
Where do you get the grandfatherhood?
Yeah. Actually, I'm about to become a great grandfather.
Ooh, congratulations.
Yeah. Actually, it's my step granddaughter that called us the other day and said, "Hey, guess what?"
Oh, that's great news.
Yeah. I want to know what some of the major challenges have been that you've confronted in your time now, 2 terms as mayor, going on a third. What are some of the major challenges that you've confronted, and what did you do to resolve them?
The top challenge is easily gun violence. I think the things I've done now is focus on enforcement efforts, reentry, and prevention efforts, as well as create economic opportunity. So the biggest thing I'm doing now is realizing that in the state of Alabama, a livable wage is $22 an hour. Probably about over 10 years ago, the Birmingham City Council tried to pass increase in the minimum wage in the city at a local ordinance, and the state slapped it down, saying cities could not do that without the state's permission. You should know nothing's changed since then. And so realizing in 2025, I have too many Black men who end up in the prison system, who end up in graves, who end up arrested for crime. If I know livable wage is $22 an hour in the state of Alabama, then the city is willing to partner with business community in the state, in the city, as well as small business, and say, hey, if you hire these young men and pay them $11 an hour through a workforce development plan, the city of Birmingham would match the other 11. And I think that is the type of out of the box thinking I am doing to do everything we can necessary to decrease crime in the city of Birmingham.
Where do you get the for that?
Oh, that's easy. I actually use city tax dollars. So
Okay.
city tax dollars can support workforce development. So think of the Birmingham Promise, where I told you $10 million is for these opportunities for Birmingham Promise.
Right.
I can do the same thing. I can do the same thing in partnership with the employer for workforce development to hire these young Black men.
Wow. So politically, that you're able to do that?
Oh, I have to. And I've already publicly said this is what I will do. And the reason I have to do it is very simple. We want to arrest our way out of crime. All you will do is you don't have enough prisons to arrest your way out of this. If you want to decrease crime, you have to increase opportunity. People need to be gainfully employed. And I think people who walk around gainfully employed think less about how to commit a crime because of economic stress, or rob someone, or steal, or sell drugs.
Okay. Tell me what you think the policies being pushed by Trump and Musk, how will they affect Birmingham and your work as mayor?
The first is when you cut NIH funding, you go at the heart of our biggest employer, not only in the city, but in the state. University of Alabama, Birmingham is a research institution in the form of a four-year university, a health institution, as well as research. When you cut that funding without any cause, you cut jobs. So that affects our economy. I live in the state of Alabama where we didn't expand Obamacare. So now if you cut Medicaid, we're talking about 80 million, loss of $80 million. That's not only going to close rural hospitals in rural Alabama, that affects us here in urban Birmingham as well, as it relates to access to healthcare for our seniors, where I have a lot of seniors in our city. These are immediate issues that affect Birminghamians. Not to mention, we received numerous federal grants under the Biden administration, and they're wanting to walk back these grants. That slows down progress in economic development, in workforce housing, in community development, and other economic opportunities.
Arthur, you got anything more?
No, you've given me a lot to think about in terms of what we can do here in Brunswick County, North Carolina, to propose new initiatives and on workforce development, because that's a priority for us as a party. And I'm really interested to hear what you have to say. And who knows, someday I might have to give you a phone call and follow up on some of this stuff. I hope you'll take the call.
I promise I will. I want to help. I believe that the believe it or not is right in your face for your community. You just got to have other people who have goodwill like you to do it for the young people.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the offer, and I'll take you up on it.
Absolutely.
Randall, just thank you so much for being with us. I just cannot tell you how much I appreciate it. And I found the discussion extremely useful and helpful, and I'm hoping that our listeners and viewers did as well. We did not mention the fact that you have your book that you've done, your memoir, right?
Yes, sir. Son
Yeah.
of Birmingham.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that before you go. Just tell us about it briefly, what it is all about.
The first thing is I want to and just encourage those to go to Sun Up to learn more about this memoir I wrote. But this book is a journey through hope and fear, through success and failure. And this book is not only a thread in my personal life, but it's reminding people that Birmingham, Alabama did not stop in 1963, and that we are a mid-sized progressive city that is focused on solutions, ideas, and innovation to support the everyday working class community to provide opportunities for our next generation. But it's a
Okay.
book of hope, and it's a lot of nuggets of leadership.
That's great. And you guys, if you're used to going to Amazon or Barnes and Noble for your books, I'm going to have a link, at least an Amazon link, directly for this book. It'll be in the chat. I'm sorry, it'll be in the description of this episode that you can find. And all you have to do is click on that, take you right to his book. Or you can go to sonofbirmingham.com.
That's correct.
Yeah. All right. All right. Randall, thank you so much for being with us. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Hey,
Thanks, Randall.
thank you
Appreciate
all.
it.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Grateful. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Okay. All right. I did have one thing I wanted to talk about, though, about South Carolina. For the last two episodes of the Dixie Dems, we've talked about the fact that there's been $1.8 billion missing here in South Carolina. And they're going crazy trying to figure out what the hell happened to this $1.8 billion. Senate Finance Committee had a hearing the other day, and it looks like they're going to fire the state treasurer, whose name is Curtis Loftus. And they basically are figuring out that there really wasn't any 1.8 billion, that it was a math mistake.
Oh, geez. I would explain it. I hope he's not an elected official, is he? He must be. He's
I
appointed
don't know. Oh man. He's on TV though with an ad for little kids going to raising money for college. You can donate money to this fund and it'll pay for your kids' college. And he's
I hope
on,
there's a real investigation.
yeah, he's on there all the time with that ad. But I don't think he's going to be on there much longer because it looks like he's.
Yeah, I thought of you the other day because I was reading some stories about what's going on in Raleigh with the state legislature up there. And they've been grappling with trying to find funds to give to Western North Carolina after the hurricane there and everything of last fall. But there's also a problem in Eastern North Carolina where we had two major hurricanes way before the problems in Western North Carolina. And they've lost a lot of money there. So
Really, no kidding.
I said, I'm going to have these guys call. I'm going to have these guys call Bob because he could probably offer some clues on where that money. Maybe that money wound up in South Carolina.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man. And then there was another story I saw that somebody's suing a hotel here because they got poked in the ass by a piece of metal hanging off of a bed. And they're suing the hotel here for that. And it turns out that he wasn't the only one that's happened to. It's been happening to a lot of people for the last few years. So if you come to Myrtle Beach for vacation or whatever, just make sure you check that you don't have any loose pieces of metal hanging off your bed because you might get poked in the butt.
Man, you got loose pieces of metal and bed bugs, and what's going on?
I know it's nasty. And then I found out yesterday, Randall, you don't have to hang on for this stuff we're doing now, but you're welcome to if you want to.
No, I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna get back to the family. Y'all keep going. This is funny though.
Okay, buddy. All right.
Good to see y'all.
We'll talk to you. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right, Arthur. So where in the hell was I anyway?
We were
Oh
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah. I wanted to just say we had a guest on last week who ran against or last month who ran against Nancy Mace for Congress. Yeah, and he was a really good guest and everything. Turns out that there's been a survey and Nancy Mace, Congresswoman Nancy Mace, who is running for, said she's going to run for governor. She hadn't actually announced yet. But the poll came out that said that Mace is trailing South Carolina Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette. No, Mace has 29.1% and just over 31% favored Evette. And so it's close, but maybe Mace isn't going to win,
Is
which
this
would
next
be,
year?
huh?
The race is next year.
Yeah, 2026, right?
Yeah. So is Mace not going to run again then for Congress if she runs for governor or what? How's that going to work?
I don't know, but there's talk among the Democrats about who's going to be the candidate and all that. Now, that's not in the district where I am. It's in the south of here in Charleston.
Hmm.
So I'm not clued in totally as to who that might be, but
She's a complete wacko.
she is a complete wacko. She's a Trump nutcase.
Yeah.
And she's been going on and on about, she actually gave a speech on the floor of the House. I think we talked about it last time about her boyfriend
Yeah.
doing bad things to her or whatever. She spent time of the House of Representatives to talk about that on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
pretty
That's not
disgusting.
representatives for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so that's all I had from South Carolina. I didn't do much more research beyond that.
I don't have anything nearly that whimsical about what's going on in North Carolina. They're just the GOP guys in the legislature are really getting ticked off at the new attorney general, who's a Democrat, Jeff Jackson, former member, because he keeps suing Trump. And so they're trying to pass legislation that says basically the attorney general cannot initiate lawsuits on issues that they don't approve of. And I don't know how that's going to work, but
They don't have a super majority anymore, so they can't do it.
They don't. So that bill probably won't get anywhere, but out there. That's not good. That's not as good as Mace, though.
No, that's right. All right, listen. Thank you so much, Arthur. And I'm sorry, Robert, you had to go, but happy birthday to you in absentia.
Yep.
And yeah. And so we'll be talking next month. We'll have another episode, and I don't know who our guest will be, but hopefully we'll have a good one.
We'll find somebody.
All
We'll
right.
find a component. Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Take care, Arthur.
Take care.
Hey guys, I'm Bob Gatty, founder and host of Lean to the Left. I'm excited to share our new book, Hijack Nation, Donald Trump's Attack on America's Greatness, co-authored with political analyst and professor C.J. Waldron. In Hijack Nation, we delve into the unfolding story of America's political landscape through a series of essays from leantotheleft.net. We explore how Donald Trump's presidency has transformed American politics, challenging our values and institutions. Hijack Nation isn't just a book, it's a call to action. It invites you to reflect on what it means to be American in a divided political landscape. Together we can reclaim our nation's greatness. So get your copy of Hijack Nation today. Visit leantotheleft.net and click on the Books tab to learn more and to order.